Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on janitorial cleaning. We see that people are still arriving fairly frequently here, so we're going to give it just a few more minutes while people find their email and the link to come to the webinar. So give us just 2 more minutes, and we'll let people arrive, and then we'll get underway. Thanks. Good morning, everyone. And I'm realizing that I had begun speaking into the wrong...
There are 26 other callers on the call.
We are online now with the Toxics Use Reduction Institute webinar on janitorial cleaning. My thanks to you all for joining us this morning, and a particular thanks to those of you who dialed in last week, and thanks for bearing with us through some audio difficulties, and thanks for joining us again this morning. Just a little bit about TURI, the organization that's sponsoring this webinar this morning. TURI is a creation of the Toxics Use Reduction Act in Massachusetts. That was passed in 1989 and came into effect in 1990. TURI is responsible for a number of things, all related to assisting industry and assisting society generally with advancing the use of safer alternatives to toxic substances. So we do quite a number of things. We sponsor research both at the academic level and within industry. We have industrial companies who accept grants from us and put on demonstrations of safer toxic alternatives. We also give grants to community groups on things such as safer land care without toxics, and safer beauty products and those sorts of things. We have, this is an example of the training that we do. We do an extensive set of trainings, including for toxics use reduction planners, which is a special designation, professional designation here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. These are the folks who certify and look over toxics use reduction plans that are filed by or that are prepared by companies that are major users of toxic substances in the Commonwealth. We also do policy development and assistance to Massachusetts legislators and even legislators beyond Massachusetts, including at the international and national levels. And today we're going to be talking about some of the activities of our laboratory. You're looking now, the background photograph there is our lab, and we are going to be talking a bit about what that lab can do in assisting people with finding safer alternatives, specifically today in the realm of cleaning. So just a little bit about logistics here. All of you are muted, except, of course, for our presenters. However, we do encourage you to pose questions for our presenters, and you can do that using the chat function down at the bottom of the control panel that you should have as you brought up your Go to Training window. You will see that there's a little window in which you can pose a question. That will come to me, and I will collect those questions, and at the end of our presentations this morning, I'll pose those questions on your behalf to both of the two speakers that we have today. And then one other logistical point, I mentioned earlier the toxic use reduction planners here in Massachusetts who need to maintain their certifications through continuing education. This webinar this morning will qualify them for 1 hour of continuing education if they take the quiz. And there will be a quiz, a very brief quiz, literally 1 minute. And if they take and get 2 out of 3 answers correct, they will be awarded 1 continuing education credit. So for those of the rest of you who are not toxic use reduction planners, you're welcome to take the quiz, but of course it won't have any particular meaning for you. So with that, I'm pleased to introduce my colleague here at TURI, Heidi Wilcox. Heidi is our lab specialist, lab and field testing specialist, who does a lot of work in assessing not only the toxicity and toxic hazard of materials in such things as cleaning substances, but also actually tests as well for their effectiveness. And she will be explaining a little bit more of that, and she will go on to introduce our next speaker. So with that, let's switch it over to Heidi. And Heidi, you can take it away.
Okay. All right, everybody can see my screen. Mark? I guess that's a yes. Okay, so as Mark said, I am Heidi Wilcox. I work at the Toxic Use Reduction Institute Laboratory, and I am a field and lab scientist. And what I'm going to talk about today is how the TURI Laboratory in our green cleaning work, how we got into it, what we do, and how we can help Massachusetts companies and beyond. So the presentation overview that I'm going to give today is a little bit about TURI, which Mark gave a great overview of, our green cleaning efforts, how we also work with disinfection and sanitizing testing in one of our laboratories here on campus, the different testing we have done in the lab, how we keep our data and how you can all get access to that data, our field work and testing, and what we've learned over the years with janitorial cleaning, and then I'm going to introduce Rex Morrison from Process Cleaning for Healthy Schools. So, as Mark said, the Toxic Use Reduction Institute is part of, or came out of, the Toxic Use Reduction Act of 1990. In their infinite wisdom, the people that set up the act also set up a laboratory a few years later. So we've been doing testing for performance on less toxic cleaners and green cleaners in industry and in janitorial processes for over 21 years. And just to say a little bit more about the Massachusetts TURA program, is there are 3 agencies that work together to help support the act. One, obviously, is TURI, the Toxic Use Reduction Institute. We have the Office of Technical Assistance, which is a sister agency in Boston that does great technical assistance and work in the field also. And then the Department of Environmental Protection that helps us obtain and keep the data for this program that we house here at TURI. And those are the 3 agencies that work in the program in Massachusetts. So the laboratory at TURI is a little bit different. We actually do testing on the efficacy of green cleaning products and related equipment. So all of us in this industry worry about environmental health and safety and toxicity of products that people use and how they affect our indoor air quality, the clients of any building, and also the environment. But what we realized over the years is that without competitive cost and without performance, no one is going to change to greener cleaning products. So those 3 things are really our mission, and we feel they all go hand in hand. So that's what we've done over the years. So we look for, again, safer, cost-effective cleaning alternatives that work. And bolded is that work because, as we know, probably 15 or 20 years ago when green cleaning came onto the scene, we had products that came out and they didn't really work in commercially and retail-wise, and it jaded a lot of people, and we're still working to overcome that perception that green cleaners do not work. So how did we get into green cleaning? So when we started in 1993, I wasn't here. I've been here for about 15 years coming up. But we mostly worked on industrial processes and cleaning widgets and things to do with replacing solvents. And I'd say about 12 or 15 years ago, we started getting calls and emails from people that wanted to get third-party performance tested for their janitorial cleaning products. And I remember my boss, Dr. Jason Marshall, said, I don't want to do janitorial products. And now that's pretty much the bulk of his work, and he loves it. And we work with about 20 students here at the laboratory. We're very lucky to be housed here and have such great students to work with. So that's really how we got started, is EPA Design for Environment, Ecologo Green Seal, and even way back to EU Flower, people that wanted to get those certifications to distinguish themselves from the green cleaning products that didn't work out there. They wanted to get this third-party certification. So they had to go through toxicity testing and review, but they also needed performance testing. So along the way, we got contacted and we became one of the preeminent laboratories in the United States to do this type of testing. We've often worked with these third-party performance certifiers on making the testing for performance more reality-based. And what that means is we really looked at the soils and the substrates in these standardized tests, and we worked with these associations, and these need to be changed a little bit or adapted, and is that okay with you, so that the companies that get our performance testing can show these reports to their clients, and it will mean something to them. The soils will mean something, the substrates will mean something, and we have a really great relationship with all three of these agencies. So now we've even segued into doing formulation work. We do a lot of equipment testing. Those can't be third-party certified, the equipment, but they want testing to be done so that they can show that their product removes soil and does what it says it will. We also do consulting, training, and field work, and more. So as we got into the green cleaning field in janitorial, we realized that people wanted to segue away from bleach and quaternary compounds that we were finding to be hazardous. And we wanted to segue to some of these alternative equipments and less toxic sanitizers and disinfectant chemicals. And what we needed to do was test their claims of kill efficacy. So we partnered with the Clinical Laboratory in Nutritional Sciences at University of Massachusetts in Lowell to look at just that. We are so busy with that work that we're actually setting up a second satellite laboratory next to our lab here that does the efficacy to do more work on this. And what we've evaluated and we plan to evaluate in the future is look at steam, look at engineered water using minerals for cleaning and killing. We're looking at probiotics to look at mitigation of microbial growth instead of killing. Overall, we're going to look at peroxide-based cleaners, ozonated water, and dwell time testing, because we all know when we go in the field that a product may say that it needs to sit for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but is that really happening? And if it doesn't happening, then what kind of protection are we getting? We really want to work on that data, so we're going to do that. So products that we've tested in the laboratory include, the three big ones: glass cleaning, all-purpose cleaners, bathroom cleaners. We also have done dish detergents, hand cleaners, graffiti removal, floor products, probiotic cleaners, carpet cleaners, and the list goes on and on. Anything you could think of, people have asked us to try, and if there isn't a protocol out there, we work on finding one. So, and just so everyone knows, our testing follows standards with like Green Seal and ASTM for our testing. Equipment that's been testing in the lab has floor scrubbers, small and large, engineered water products, battery packed vacuums, steam cleaners, large and small units, microfiber, and hands-free restroom systems. And we've seen many more types of equipment over the years. So you might be asking yourself, when we do all these tests, where does our data go? So our data lives online at cleanersolutions.org. That's our database that was built over the years to keep our testing so that we could look back and also to help share that with the public. This is the interface here of what Cleaner Solutions looks like. I'm not going to have time to go through that today, but anybody can feel free to email myself or the laboratory and help you walk through that and find information. We also have laboratory safety screening scores, and how these came about was we wanted to make sure that when we brought new cleaners into the laboratory that they weren't going to be worse than the ones we were trying to replace. So we had to find a way to kind of compare them to each other. And we wanted to include worker and environmental factors in that. So we picked VOCs, ozone depletion, global warming potential, HMIS ratings, and pH. So any cleaner that we look at that comes in that we would give a score between 0 and 50, the higher the number the better. And what we found from past research is that these 5 metrics actually hold up very well against other larger alternatives assessment programs and are right in line with those. So this is a quick screening, but it's a very thorough and good screening. So the question on green cleaning is, how do you know if something works? So we do testing here using industry standards to produce data. Data is the real metric to see if something works. We work on our testing to make sure it's reproducible and not just a fluke. And we also use analytical methods. So we use ATP meters, which you can see on the side here. They're a trend tool to show cleaning efficacy in the field and in the lab. It shows us a number before and a number after, and hopefully we see a reduction in the numbers to show that we've cleaned and removed contaminants. We also use gloss meters, black lights, white glove, and we do microbial plate growth as well. We also count on field work because we know what works in the laboratory doesn't always work in the field exactly as we hope it will, because there's reality in working with workers and process and in everybody's facility. So we have to account for that. And anecdotal information and data is also important to us in the field once we have the scientific data from the laboratory. Testing and field work. We have the unique ability, my boss in his infinite wisdom a few years ago decided that we wanted to have our implementation rate increase. So we felt the way to do that was to put somebody in the field and really connect and work with the clients that were having issues transitioning to safer solvents, safer cleaners, safer equipment, and trying to follow any sort of state guidelines. And that has really worked to our benefit. We can also take our testing into the field because every site is different, and we work with everyone's specific soils, materials, and workers. We have the capability to work for facility managers. We work with manufacturers to make products more user-friendly. We help train, and we also connect on the national and local level with experts and vendors, so we can bring that expertise in when we need to. So how do you know if something is green, or if you are green, or if you're going green? So in Massachusetts, we have an environmentally preferred purchasing program, and many states have those also, and those usually rely on third-party certified products, which is a great place to start because, as I mentioned earlier, there is a EH&S toxicity component to those and also a performance component. So you should check and see if you have that in your state and work with them. You can also check to see what regulation or executive orders exist for your state or any federal offices. You can use products from third-party certifiers, again, always a great place to start. And you can use your national resources like International Executive Housekeepers Association, the International Sanitation and Supply Association. They both have online magazines that have articles and can connect you with other facility managers for help. You can work with Process Cleaning for Healthy Schools, which you'll hear from later. And the Turi Laboratory is always a great option, and we can help you with anything that you have. And if we can't, we will find someone that can. So you might be asking yourself, why would anyone want to work with the university laboratory for green cleaning? Well, that's a good question. I get that often. First off, we're non-biased, so we want to generate data. We have students here that need to do projects. We want to do projects. We want to help industry in Massachusetts and beyond. So we're really interested in the data and what works. We feel without any non-biased scientific data, how do you trust a product? How do you know if it really works? So that's what we do. If it's a public university or a state agency, it's a nonprofit, so money is not our driver. We do want to inform the janitorial sector end users and help them transition to green and prove to them that we know that these things work. We have resources here, other scientists, students, other engineers that we can pull from, and we work with national companies and trade associations. So what we've learned over the years, we definitely have learned that a lot of education is needed. Many of you on this call are probably shaking your head right now and realize that there needs to be a lot of education with the end users over cleaning versus removal of soil, and removal versus kill, sanitizing versus disinfecting, when to use which one, how much to use, how to use it properly, and also that smell does not equal clean. Many of the things that people use in the field that smell good do not clean well. We also know that many facility managers either want to go green, less toxic, but they don't know how and they need help. Or they just want to use their bleach and to be left alone. So both of these we can help with. We also know that there's great formulation work being done by companies out there. There's excellent equipment being made if you really want to go less toxic and use mechanical energy instead, such as steam or hands-free restroom cleaning. And basically without consistency and repeatability of a process, we're starting to learn that less toxic programs or green cleaning may not matter. And this is really important, because if we can't get consistency in how we clean a facility, we're seeing in testing and different numbers with ATP that can really affect a facility on how it's cleaned overall. So who to contact at Turi? You can contact myself. This is my email, heidi@turi.org, my phone number, and my cell phone number, which is on my business card. And you can also call the office here at 978-934-3133. So next up is Rex Morrison. He's the founder and president of Process Cleaning for Healthy Schools. He worked as a custodian in Nevada for 30 years, so he doesn't just talk the talk, he has walked the walk for sure. He is the premier national expert on process cleaning. I was lucky enough to see him in action last month. His process is efficient, it gives us consistency and much better ergonomics, and I'm very glad to call him my friend. So I want to introduce all of you to Rex Morrison. Thank you.
Good evening, or good morning, ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors. I want to thank you for taking out time of your busy day to let me introduce to you process cleaning for healthy schools. Let me.
And Rex, if you're not doing it already, we need to have you show your screen, share your screen.
Okay.
There we are.
Everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, again, I want to thank you for tuning in to this webinar. What you're going to learn today from this repeatable process, you can apply to hotels, restaurants, multi-story office building environments, hospitals, cruise ships, convalescent homes, and almost any other cleaning environment out there. Again, I'm Rex Morrison. I'm President and CEO of a national 501c3 consortium. I'm a retired Washoe County School District custodial field supervisor. Process Cleaning for Healthy Schools is built upon a combination of specialization and new technology. Process Cleaning for Healthy Schools is a management-based cleaning system set in a K-12 environment with emphasis on cleaning student and staff spaces for health. What we are is we're schools helping schools. We're a national 501c3 nonprofit. We are school professionals from around the country banding together to help school professionals from around the country. And how we got started 10 years ago as a head custodian at an elementary school, I began developing a program that took me out of the dark ages of cleaning into a new and exciting age of developing cleaning processes that were repeatable for health based upon scientific testing and evaluation. It all starts with you asking yourself a few simple questions. Does my school district, my hotel, my convalescent home, my hospital, whatever, does it have a set standard for cleaning classrooms and restrooms? Is every custodian in every school cleaning a classroom and a restroom the same way, using the same simple steps and achieving the same average times? Is there a management system in place at my school district that holds every custodian accountable? Is there a simple documentation process to ensure daily custodial accountability? And are the students, the teachers, the staff receiving the highest level of cleaning at the lowest level of cost? When I was a custodial field supervisor for Washoe County School District in Reno, Nevada, we had 100 schools and we had 450 custodians. And we had 450 ways we cleaned a classroom and 450 ways we cleaned a restroom. I wonder if this sounds familiar to you. It certainly was a problem for us. It all started when we had an audit, and the audit said what you need is a standard. You know, we had custodians that did a wonderful job out there in their classrooms, and then we had some custodians that needed a little help. Well, without a repeatable process and without a repeatable system, there was no way that we could manage our schools or our custodians. And my challenge was to take a system designed around a 10-story office building and make it fit a school environment using the most modern tools and techniques. What we had in Washoe County in the beginning was chaos and confusion. There are only two forms of management out there. There's complaint-driven. My first day as a custodian, I showed up, I was all excited, I had on my best janitor clothes, and I was ready to go to work. I met the head custodian. He told me three things. He first gave me a set of keys. Then he showed me a custodial closet. We opened the door and about half of it fell out on the floor. It was in chaotic disarray. Then he showed me my area that I was to clean that night. And he said one thing to me that stuck with me to this day, and that is, he said, okay, clean it and don't get any complaints. I had no training. I had really no instruction on being a custodian other than just those three simple directions and that one simple statement. This might be familiar with you. I know that today, this is almost 30 years later. We have much better training programs out there, but that's how I got started. And so in desperation, what I had to do was just find a way to do the best I could with the knowledge that I had. And that's what really happens out there in buildings today. You have one custodian that may clean a restroom this way and another custodian that cleans it another way. And you may say to yourself, well, as long as it gets clean and it looks good, then apparently, you know, everything's okay. But that's just not the case. Without a repeatable system to where every custodian is following a repeatable process, achieving the same average time and results, there is no way to manage your facility. You need repeatability, because without repeatability, you cannot really have effective management. There are quality-driven management systems and complaint-driven management systems. I talked about the complaint-driven management just a minute ago. Let me talk about quality-driven. First of all, when you talk about a management system, we're dealing with custodians. They're very busy people. They have very busy lives. And what we need to provide to them is a management system that produces repeatability, but that is very, very, very simple. Not that our custodians are not brilliant out there. You know, some of them go on to change our industry. It's just simply the fact that if it is simple, then it's going to be easy to understand. It's very easy to get complicated, but it's very complicated to stay easy. So let me just show you in a moment our management system that we use. It's very simple. We take their area, we divide it into 4 parts, we color code each day. So if Monday is green, Tuesday's blue, Wednesday's purple, and Thursday's orange, let's just say today is Tuesday, or last night was Tuesday. A manager can simply go into a custodial closet. This map is in every custodial closet where they park their tools. They know what happened on Monday night or where they're deep cleaning, the weekly stuff that you don't do every day. You don't dust an area every day, hopefully, but you do have to dust it once a week or dust will accumulate. So therefore, there are some things you do weekly, there are a few things you do monthly, and there are things like process cleaning for healthy schools that you do on a nightly basis. We're talking about the weekly things here. We're able to now know where they did. Now let's look at what they did. We use just a simple, we call it a service assessment log. All they do is put checks in the boxes. So in their restrooms, we would need to scour sinks and remove rings from toilets and urinals once a week to keep them from forming. So we want to see a check there. Notice it's bold. The other one is dusty, and that's something that is mandatory, so it's bolded also. We need to make sure they do their dusting. So we want 4 to 5 checks each night in their quad cleaning area, and simply by going into a closet, looking at their quad cleaning area, looking at the checks in the boxes, we know now what they did and we know where they did it. And so we can go to those. It's approximately 5 rooms, 4 to 5 rooms that are as quadded out. So we can go to their map, and okay, there we go. We can go to their map and we can see what they did, we can see where they did it, and then we can check for quality. And while we're there, we can also check to see what they did in their regular everyday cleaning from the night before too. It's a very, very good way to hold our custodians accountable, because when they put a check in a box, they said they did it. And that's our management system. It's very, very simple, and like I said, it's complicated to get simple and very, very easy to get complicated. So we want to make sure that we keep our system as uncomplicated as possible and still get great results. We know that if you clean for health, we know that appearance will follow. I want to go into the value of process cleaning for healthy schools. Now, if I may, we know that the average square footage a custodian can clean, set by ISSA and other staffing studies, is right around 22,000 square feet. Well, within the last 3 or 4 or 5 years through the downturn of our economy, we're not cleaning 22,000 feet anymore. We're cleaning much more than that. Process cleaning will bring that average up to 27 to 30, and in a lot of schools with minimum budgets, we can bring them up to 45,000 square feet without sacrificing cleaning for health. The nuts and bolts of process cleaning for healthy schools. Process cleaning is a study of time and motion applied to cleaning a classroom and a restroom. These simple principles can be applied, as I said before, to convalescent homes, cruise ships, airplanes, hotel industry, and just about any industry that cleans for a living. And the nuts and bolts of process cleaning for healthy schools, our tasks are stacked like a row of dominoes, and every cleaning function that a custodian does builds into the next or future cleaning responsibility. So without even knowing it, they are building into the next responsibility and pushing that one future domino down into the next, so that they have a synchronized and a cascading effect to their cleaning process that eliminates wasted time and motion. Most custodians today, they clean in big old giant circles. They're constantly stopping and starting, stopping and starting. And what do you lose when you start and stop? You lose time, you lose motivation, and you lose concentration. And so what we do is we put them in easy loops. We call it loop cleaning. So they loop around their cleaning responsibilities and set themselves up for next responsibilities and it just becomes a seamless and a flawless way to clean a facility.
Rex, your specific interest in your own individual work is for schools, but I'm presuming that all of these things that you're speaking about can be applied in other kinds of situations, just office buildings, and even in industrial settings as well. Is that right?
Absolutely. Process cleaning and its management system can be taken to almost any facility out there that cleans that facility on a daily basis. And it's easy to apply, it's very simple, and it's very friendly to the custodian without causing a lot of chaos and a lot of confusion. And thank you, Mark. And to break it down into its simplest form, process cleaning is just divided into a few cleaning tasks and functions. First of all, there's the primary function, and it just simply lists this. This is what we do. We lock the door, we clean the door glass, we clean the door handles, the light switch in the telephone, we clean or sanitize all desktops, we check the soap and paper, we write it down if we need to, we sanitize the cabinets, we empty the trash of pencil sharpeners and pick up any large pieces of paper that a vacuum won't pick up. We clean our white and blackboards. We dust the room if it falls into our designated deep cleaning area, and that's the cleaning process. And we use a dog tag style cards that they hang around their neck, and it only takes them for about 2 days to memorize these 12 steps, and after that they don't need that hanging around their neck anymore, and they go into a classroom now, and they use what we call body motion, opposed to really needing to use your mind much anymore. We'd rather that they be thinking about more pleasant things, what they're going to do on the weekend or whatever, and just let the body take over. And when you use body motion, where it becomes a synchronized, just repeatable system that is ingrained in you, the speed and the ease of cleaning really, really starts to show up. The second area is vacuuming. If you're going to vacuum in an industrial setting, I'm going to say put your vacuum on your back. You're going to get so much more productivity out of that vacuuming process. And then sanitation process. Use a spray and vacuum restroom cleaning and clean all your restrooms for health. I don't believe we're going to be cleaning restrooms by hand anymore. What happens when you take a cotton mop and you mop a restroom floor? You basically pick up a little bit, but mostly you just smear it around and let it air dry, and you're stuck with it even into the next day and into the next week. And so I believe that spray and vacuum restroom cleaning machines out there now are changing this industry and setting the norm for cleaning restrooms. It's 50% faster, it's 80% cleaner. Backpack vacuums are 50% to 80% cleaner, especially the new battery pack vacuums that are out there today. They can increase your productivity, and because they are filtration units, can certainly pick up the particulate in your floors. And then there's green cleaning also. We want to be backed up by a good green cleaning approach. Why? Because we owe it to the environment, we owe it to the students and staff that are in our buildings, and then we want to offer a lot of hands-on training. And I'm a firm believer in training. I believe we should train, retrain, and then train again. Henry Ford said once to and it's a quote, he said, if I would have asked the people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And so a lot of times people don't understand technology, and so we need to train, and we need to retrain. The 5 pillars of process cleaning, what puts the green into our green cleaning program is we like to use something that cleans with no harsh chemical fumes or residue, never been tested on animals. I threw this one in there myself because I just happen to be one of these bleeding heart animal lovers, and I'm proud of it. And then use a green product. Why? Because it's just the right thing to do. Microfiber technology is a big part of our system. backpack vacuum cleaners, like I said, they're 50% faster to 80% faster, and it's changed the cleaning industry. Spray and vacuum restroom cleaners, because it is changing the industry's approach to cleaning restrooms. And then we want to take all our results and we want to back them up with science. That's why Process Cleaning for Healthy Schools has such a wonderful relationship with Turi Laboratories, because they are our scientific arm to our program. And a lot of times I don't understand some of the products or technologies that are out there today, so I need someone to kind of dumb it down and just put it in layman's terms for me, a scientific facility that can say, yes, what they claim is really true, and then I can have confidence, because we're dealing with children out there, and we want to make sure that that what we do is safe, and we also want to back up what we say, and we use third-party independent auditors to do that. Today, many schools, they're still stuck, and office buildings and many cleaning facilities are stuck in the dark ages of cleaning. They're 50 years behind the technical curve. Process cleaning can take that and help you step into a new and exciting age of specialization, systems applications, technical advancements, repeatable systems, and scientific evaluation. And what is the result? The result is cleaner, more germ-free student and staff spaces at a significant savings to the taxpayer. I want to thank you for tuning in and putting up with me, and I will turn this back over to Mr. Mark at this time.
Oh, thanks, Rex. And at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to take 1 minute, and we're going to have a quiz for our TOR planners. If you are not a TOR planner, please take this opportunity to use your chat function and pose a question that we'll start with as soon as the quiz is over. So we'll give it just a minute. Okay, about another 20 seconds for our quiz, and then we'll begin with the questions. All right. So that concludes the quiz, and now we've got Rex and Heidi on the line, and I want to thank those of you who have submitted some questions. We've got several, and they're good questions. So let me start off with the question. We had several questions, in fact, about ATP testing. This is an interesting technology. And Heidi, let's begin with you. If you can just elaborate a bit and describe what this testing is all about and how it works.
Hi, so sure. What it does is it's a meter that measures relative light units. So what happens is I take a swab and we swab a surface and we pick up general soils, any microbials, anything on the surface. And what it does is a reagent in the swab, and it reacts with it. And the more heavily soiled with something that will give an ATP reading, such as something that's living, like a microbial, or something such as, unfortunately it can be confounded with something like grapes, grape juice, and other things like that. In the laboratory, we use fresh grapes to generate an ATP reading, so we can get an ATP reading and then clean and then see how different cleaners compare to each other. So that's why I said in my presentation it's a trend tool. We cannot identify specific microbes, we cannot identify viruses. All we can show that what is a load before we clean and a load after we clean. So it's a really great, very quick trend showing tool in the field. It is a machine that the least expensive one that's out there of the top three is about $1,000 to buy, and the swabs are about $1 a piece. So that doesn't sound like a lot, but it can be a lot. But we're seeing it being used more and more and more in the industry, for sure.
Where are those meters available, Heidi? Can anybody buy them at an industrial supply place or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's distributors, but right now I know we go directly to the companies. So the three most used ones are the Hygiena meter, one made by Charm Industries, and another one made by 3M. So you could go directly to them and find out who their distributors are in your area to buy one, for sure.
Great. Rex, one for you. If you could elaborate a little bit further and describe the spray and vacuum process that you use in restrooms.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that. Just to put it into its simplest form, what you do is you use a high-pressure unit. I think that 500 psi and above is the optimum pressure to cleaning a restroom. And what you would do is you would go in and you would apply your sanitizer, disinfectant, whatever you're using in your restroom, and apply it on low pressure to your toilets, to your floors, to your sinks, to your walls. And then usually we use we'll go into a gang restroom, usually a restroom. If you have a boys' restroom, there'll be a girls' right next door to that. So then we'll go over and repeat the process in the girls. This gives dwell time for the boys. We go back to the boys and we simply take water, pure water under high pressure, and wash everything to the floor. Then we'll use an agitator such as a brush on a pole and agitate your floor, and then just suck it all up and put it down a drain. You can't get any easier than that. You put it on, you suck it up, you take it away from the restroom. We're removers, and so this is the best removal process there is, and it's also faster than cleaning by hand.
Another one for you, Rex. Can you elaborate further somewhat on the use of safer cleaning substances, cleaning solvents, whatever, and how that would relate to toxics use reduction?
Yeah, first of all, we're a non-proprietary cleaning system, and so we pretty well respect anything in a school. When we're invited out to a school to introduce our process, we're going to go ahead and use what they have on hand. But if it is highly toxic, the first thing we're going to do is try to talk them down in their use of very toxic chemicals that really don't need to be applied on a daily use. We want to get them into a green cleaning mindset, and therefore so their equipment or their chemical usage should at least at minimum be stamped with a green cleaning seal. And then through repeatable processes, we know that we can set up the system so that if they use something gentle, a cleaner is what we recommend. Sanitizers and disinfectants are important, and they're to be used differently than a cleaner, so we will go into and explain all that. But then on a nightly basis, we believe that a clean building is cleaned for health, and this will suffice.
Well, that's a great segue into the very next question that we have here, which is, for both of you really, can you explain the distinction between sanitization and cleaning, or disinfection and cleaning, and how the two of those relate in what you do?
Sure, I'll take this one first. So sanitizing and disinfecting is really a definition. Anything that's labeled a sanitizer or a disinfectant has been looked at for what it kills. Certain facilities, say a hospital, has to kill, H1N1, HIV, hepatitis, and all of those. So one chemical can be a sanitizer and a disinfectant, just at different concentrations and different dwell times. So they both kill. Right now, they're not third-party certified, but they are looked at through the EPA, and they obviously have registration numbers as pesticides. And they should be used in the right ways at the right times. We do not have to sanitize every single surface every single day, sanitize the floors. There's an overuse of sanitizers and disinfectants at this point. The ones that most people know are bleach and quaternary compounds. Lately, in the last few years, we've seen some good alternatives come out, peroxide-based products. There's also equipment that helps do that, which is steam. So there are a lot of options out there that are a lot healthier and help us better control our indoor air quality and also keep our cleaning for health at a high level.
I'll segue into that if it's okay for a minute. We are. I'm a man, and I have a thing about reading directions. If I'm going to put something together, I'll put it together first, and if I can't get it together, then I'll read the directions. But talking about reading directions, I think that is kind of our attitude when it comes to sanitizers and disinfectants a lot of times out there. The directions say that you first must pre-clean your surface. So you pre-clean your surface with a neutral cleaner. Then you apply your sanitizing agent or your disinfectant agent. Then you let it dwell. Then you remove it. And a lot of times it's time consuming to do that. So what a lot of companies do that I see, cleaning companies out there, is they just apply a disinfectant without following the directions. And when you do that, you minimize its effectiveness. And you actually pollute your environment with a lot of pesticides. So please, if you're going to sanitize and disinfect, and it's very important to do that, by the way, read the directions because each one is different.
Yeah, so Rex is really correct on that, Mark, and that that's what we talk about in the lab is the reality in what really happens versus what we do in the laboratory. So the reality is that these things that do require 10, 15, 20 minutes of dwell time to give the most effective kill isn't really being done. So we need to address that in the industry, and we will be doing testing around that. The other thing with sanitizers and disinfectants is there is a scientific number applied to them. So there's a 3-log kill rate for sanitizers, 99.9, and then a 5-log for disinfecting, which means it kills more, which is 99.999. So there's some very specific definitions and data behind calling something a sanitizer and a disinfectant, and they're not the one and the same. So if you see something that says sanitizing/disinfecting, you should question that and look further into the product details on what they mean on that.
And I know that you have covered this, but again, the distinction between the word sanitizing and disinfecting.
Sanitizing kills less. Less microbes, less things. 99.9 is still very high, but it kills less microbes and viruses than a disinfectant does. Disinfectants are more concentrated and harsher, and generally only need to be used in places like healthcare, and if there's a blood spill, feces or vomit or something like that. They do not need to be used in general everyday use.
So what you're saying is that for general use, say in a bathroom in an office building, what we want to do is sanitize, not disinfect. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
I agree.
Another few questions that we have here. I'm going to try to combine a couple of them here, and Rex, I believe this one would be for you primarily. Can you describe, have you worked at all with unions? And the question that has come up here is time and motion studies. These are often called out in union contracts. A certain number of breaks are mandated under union contracts. Does this fit in with your cleaning process?
Well, that's a very great question. Yes, a process cleaning for healthy schools is like a rubber band. It is very, very flexible, and it takes into consideration all of the different functions that we have in our schools, like basketball games, tear downs, setups, union breaks, union contractual agreements. I'm real proud to be a card-carrying union member myself. I'm a member of the National Education Association. I deal with unions almost on a daily basis, and believe me, we speak the same language and very supportive of what they do so that we can go in and we can clean their facility in a way that that it will meet or exceed the new K through 12 clean standard that's come out. And so it's a challenge, but we do real good at that because of our flexibility.
Great. Well, we're just about to the end of the hour here, so I think I will close it off here. Thanks to all of you for attending. Thanks as well for those of you who posed some very good questions. Just a couple of words about what follows here. After we conclude the regular presentation here, you will be receiving via email an evaluation. That would be very, very helpful for us if you were to fill that out. You should also know that this webinar has been recorded, and so if you have colleagues that would like to listen in on this at some later time, or if you yourself would like to, of course, this will be, the link will be posted on our website shortly, probably by about the end of the day today. That will link to that recording, and it can be listened to again and again. So a very great thanks to Heidi Wilcox and Rex Morrison for their presentations. Really appreciate it. And also thanks to Autumn Massey, who has helped with production today. And thanks to all of you for attending. And we will see you again on the next webinar.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.